welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by D from Back of the Nest, a Crystal Palace fan channel. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on.
Brilliant. So, really just want to get a feel for Crystal Palace, what the vibe's like and everything like that. So, we'll kick it off then. So, you've had a pretty good start to the season, really. 7 points, 2 wins and a draw. Possibly should have got something against Arsenal at home as well. So, how has it been start of the season?
I'll be honest, the start of the season has been very good. I gave it a rating of 8 out of 10. If we got a point against Arsenal, I think it would have been a 10 out of 10. Look, we're still missing Elise. We lost Zaha. There was talks all summer about us losing our star players. And we entered the season with a bit of negativity rather than positivity because we didn't sign a forward, which a lot of people wanted. We did, still not have some key players available and still don't have them available in the likes of Elise. So it was a bit of a frustrating summer. And then the way we started the season, it's been overall positive. Look, the results have been good. I think Sheffield United probably was our best performance for 90 minutes. But against Brentford, we got a point away from home, which I would have, took, and I'm so happy with. Yeah. But in the first half, we were slow. Against Wolves in the first half, we were slow. But once we do get into games, that's when you see the real Palace. So, look, overall, I've been very happy, very happy. I couldn't really have expected much more to the start of our season. But my mentality is game at a time. That's how I see it. We focus on Villa, then we focus on the next game. But yeah, so far it's been all good.
Yeah, and it's sort of like Hodgson 3.0, isn't it? Really, he had him first time round last season. He did so well towards the end of the season. I think he came in and won like 3 games in a row, and you were well clear of that mix that was sort of half of the Premier League. Looked like they were going to get relegated at one point. So, what type of football are you currently playing, and what should Villa sort of expect from Palace on Saturday?
In terms of the football, I mean, when Roy Hodgson came around last season to save us in the last 10 games, the football that we were playing was probably a bit more exciting, a bit more flowing. And right now, so far this season, I think it's because of the attackers that we have, which is our main weakness. We got the likes of, Jeffrey Schlupp, Jordan Ayew, who's had a phenomenal start to the season, and Hodgson Edouard. I mean, that attacking three is not the most attacking three. You got Eze behind them, but we are still missing 1 or 2 players. We got a new signing, Matheus França, Elise as well. I think, and due to that, the football that we're playing has been a bit more negative than positive. But saying that, we have been very good defensively. So it depends on how you view things, right? I've been okay with the performances so far. I don't think it's been horrendous. I think you can 100% have improvements, and we have seen that at halftime making changes. And normally we're second half team. Palace have been like this for ages, even before Roy Hodgson. I don't know what it is, but we just don't tend to score goals in the first half. And yeah, so it's more of a counter-attacking approach. We have made, Jefferson Lerma as a new signing next to Decore, which helps that as well. And we haven't really, apart from the Wolves game, which I think the scoreline doesn't really reflect how the game went on, especially in the second half. We've been very solid defensively. Like, we've done a good job, and we haven't looked out of place so far, which is the main positive. Basically, if you can't win games, then make sure you leave it, with a point. But thankfully, we have got attacking players who can switch it on for like 15, 20 minutes, and we can nick a goal or 2 and get results like that. So, yeah, it hasn't been open, free-flowing football, but it has worked so far.
Yeah, so where do you think you're at then, vibe-wise this season? Where do you think like Hodgson's looking for Palace to finish this season?
He said it himself, 10th, top 10.
Yeah.
That's been the aim. And he said it last year when he was at Palace. He done an interview with Gary Neville on the overlap. And he mentioned that Palace have a quality team and that this team should be nowhere near, the relegation zone. We shouldn't be even discussing this. And that with a few additions, this team can finish in the top 10. Now, have we made them additions? Maybe we're missing 1 or 2 players, but that has been the aim. Even when he signed the contract over the summer, he mentioned, or the club mentioned, top 10 once again. So that is the minimal aim. But for me, if we don't finish in the top 10, I want a good cup run. And I'm looking at the Carabao Cup. I think we got Man United, which is going to be difficult. But hopefully, because they've got European games, Premier League, and they've had a rocky start, maybe they could brush aside the Carabao Cup and put a C team, a D team. Hopefully, we have a chance like that. But it's either top 10 or a good cup run, because I'll be honest, we with you guys is different. You're one of the biggest clubs in the country. With Palace, we haven't won a trophy. It's crazy, but we haven't. Yeah. I want us to win any type of trophy. Give me a Sunday League trophy. Let us be in the competition. I just want to celebrate the trophy before I pass away. So that's all I want. So give me like either top 10 or Carabao Cup. But in terms of the league, for now, I'm focused on, as I said, Villa, which hopefully we try to get something at least out of that game, and then we'll see where we are.
Yeah, you're a little bit like Spurs in the sense of they've lost Kane, but you've lost Zaha. You know, a big player for you, a player that sort of, when things aren't going well, you'd look to probably turn to Zaha to sort of score goals, etc. So that's been a big, a blow losing him maybe. But then Elise signed a new deal. Were you surprised that he signed that deal? Because it sort of, from an onlooker, it looked like he was like a dead cert to go to Chelsea, and then he signed this new deal. So did you think he was going as well, or?
Yeah, everyone did. It was crazy. Like, honestly, I think that topped one of the best Palace moments that we've had in a long time. It's the fact that Elise said no to Chelsea's Todd Bowley and he wanted to stay at Palace. It doesn't still feel real, because as you mentioned, everyone thought he was on the way. Fabrizio Romano said, "Here we go." Ornstein was reporting that as well. And then we're basically waiting for the announcement of Elise in the Chelsea kit. And what happened was the opposite. He was holding the Palace kit next to Steve Parish, our chairman, and he said, "I'm staying for another 4 years." It was like the biggest plot twist. I'll never forget that day. I couldn't believe it. Like the whole day, I was just so over the moon that I couldn't even talk about the situation. I had to calm down before I can. And that was a lot of people, a lot of Palace fans. And that was probably our highlight of the summer. And in a way, it was used. I don't think it was used as a distraction, but we kind of got carried away with Elise staying, and we didn't really solve our problems that I think we needed to solve, which is up front. Saying that, so far to the start of the season, our strikers, funny enough, have been solid. They have been pretty inconsistent in the past, but all of a sudden Hodgson might be firing them as well, which we didn't really see under Patrick Vieira, especially the likes of Hodgson Edouard. But yeah, Elise staying is fantastic. And I'm telling you, the first game that he steps out on the pitch, he's going to get the biggest love that he's ever received by Palace fans, because he was great for us last season. 11 assists in the Palace side that, couldn't win games for about like 3 months under Patrick Vieira. And despite that, he was still managing to get assists. And he has a great connection with Eze as well. So once he comes in, I think we will naturally improve in attack as well.
Yeah, that feeling when you have that player that you think's going and they're signed, it's the best feeling. We had it years ago with like Benteke. He looked like he was going, and then he signed a new deal when he was in his prime. So it's massive. So I want to touch on something about sort of like Vieira and Hodgson, and again, as an onlooker, it felt like Palace were like being quite forward thinking, with Vieira and getting a young up-and-coming manager and sort of like progressing down that road. And then to go back to Hodgson, how does that feel as a Palace fan? Like, is there a long-term vision now, or are you sort of like, as you as a fan, sort of just looking at it game by game, take this season and then see where you are?
Yeah, I don't think there's a vision behind the scenes that is building the new stand at Sellers Park. We've been talking about it. I was at a media day back in 2017. We've been talking about it since then, and nothing has started yet. But hopefully towards the end of this year or maybe next year, that should start. So there is that vision to increase the revenue coming into the club. And that should bring the capacity up by another 6,000 to 8,000, I believe, unless plans have changed since then. And also we built a new academy facility, which is going to be massive for Palace, because the area that Palace are in South London, there's a lot of talented footballers that have come out from there. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Zaha, everyone, Sancho, Reece Nelson. All these players have come from South London, and the biggest disappointment for Palace is that, yes, we have captured a few, the likes of Victor Moses. He came from Palace Academy as well, Nathaniel Klein. But the problem is, before these bigger clubs will come to, South London and manage to take, the plays that Palace should have, because we didn't have the facilities. And now that we've changed that, we're already seeing the glimpses of what the future can hold in terms of bringing in those youth players and trying to bring them into the first team. I think we're still a few years behind. We have to be patient with it. So there is that, the infrastructure at the stadium with the academy facilities. It seemed like that is the main plan. But going forward, as you said, look, Roy Hodgson is here on a 1-year deal. And I don't really see him staying beyond that year deal. And it makes you question. Yes, he was fantastic for us in the last 10 games, and hopefully this season is great as well. But it makes you question the long-term vision at the club, because there was also other managers available, the likes of Brendan Rodgers, Graham Potter, and other foreign managers as well. So it's not like there was no managers available, but we decided to go Roy Hodgson. And I think the main problem with this is that we have problems with our ownership structure at the club. We've got John Textor, who owns Lyon, Botafogo, other clubs in Belgium as well. Harrison Blitzer, who own NFL and NBA teams, and we've got Steve Parish. And I don't think everyone's on the same page. And we had one of our owners come out in the summer saying that I kind of regret giving Steve Parish, our chairman, the power that he has. So until those things get solved behind the scenes, which many people don't know about, especially neutrals, I think it's hard to say what Palace really want to achieve. We're seeing what we want to achieve behind the scenes in terms of academy and stadium, but on the pitch, in terms of vision, in terms of style of play, it's a bit hard right now, because we've got a year of Roy Hodgson. Then after that year, we're going to be in the same position that we were in this summer and talk about managers once again.
Yeah. So it's interesting, because I had no knowledge of any of that. So fair play. So let's move on then to the weekend. Palace come into Villa Park. Villa don't really do that well against Palace. They're always they're never exciting games, apart from when you obviously batter us 3-1 last season. So as a Villa fan's point of view, that you're not a great team for us to play against. But what are you expecting from Villa on the weekend?
I think, look, I said it to you before we started recording as well. I think Villa's had a weird start to the season. There's been a few injuries, results here and there. But then again, in Europe, you've done fine so far, which is what I expect from an Emery side. But Villa need to, get on with it now. I know it's only 4 games, but it's been a bit of a rocky-ish start in those 4 games. I think they have to, come out against Palace and try to prove a point at home. And I expect that from Villa. So I expect us to be tight, frustrate Villa fans, frustrate Villa as well, as you mentioned. It's not the most exciting games, but if there's spaces in behind, then Palace will try to hurt that with the likes of Eze and Jordan Ayew, which doesn't sound really that exciting. And you would expect Villa to stop them, but the likes of Jordan Ayew, he's had a few assists already so far this season. I think he's had like 3 and 4 games, so he's been great. And Hodgson Edouard has been scoring goals as well. So I expect Villa to dominate possession. I expect Villa to cause problems. We need a bit of luck, I think, to get something out of this game. Especially what we saw under Patrick Vieira last time around when we came to Villa Park. I think what was it, that game that Mings got red card? No, I think that was under Roy Hodgson, where Mings got a red card and then you ended up playing way better with 10 men than you did with 11.
That was in a COVID season, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it was under Roy Hodgson, the COVID season. So we've had some weird experiences at Villa Park as well. And then we had that Dwight Gale over the years, last minute winner. So yeah, I think Villa will be up for it. I'm not expecting 3 points in this game, but I'm just expecting Palace to frustrate Villa as much as possible and try to find spaces in behind.
Yeah, is Anderson still pinging balls around?
Oh, yes, he is. I think that's our strong point. You got Anderson and you got Mark Gahey as well. And both of them have had a very good start to the season. Anderson in the last game against Wolves, it was absolutely fantastic. Well, apart from the goals that we conceded, but it was weird. The goals that we conceded, it was from crosses, and it was unlike Palace. I think we just switched off rather than it being a worry. It was just a switch off by Palace for the goals, because we managed to, kick on and score goals against Wolves, and then, the game was pretty much done. So Anderson is there, Gahey will be there, and I think the new player that you're going to see this time around is Lerma next to Cheikh Doucouré. So last season when we faced you, we only had one midfielder. I'm not even joking. There was, of course, other midfielders on the pitch, technically midfielders, but they weren't at the quality, they weren't at the level. So for the majority of last season, was just playing Cheikh Doucouré as our only main option. And now we've got Jefferson Lerman next to him. Them two will be the pivot in front of the defense, and they have been very good so far. They complement each other's games fantastically as well. And I would like to see how we do against Villa's midfield with them two, because I think last time around Villa had that control over the midfield due to our vulnerabilities. But now I think we've strengthened the midfield and have a more of a balanced midfield to push on. So yeah, I think Lerma will be exciting to watch as well. But apart from that, with the likes of Eze and Jordan Knight, so there's a few players to watch out for in this game. But I'm looking at Villa's team, and you got a few quality players as well that you signed this summer. So I think it'll be exciting. Exciting probably for you lot in terms of keeping possession, but like nervous game for Palace fans. But I'm actually looking forward to it because of our start to the season. As you said, 7 points in 4 games, you can't really be that disappointed. So you just want to make sure the next game comes quicker rather than later.
Yeah, definitely. It's just every game's a tough game in the Premier League, isn't it? It always has its different permutations. You could play a team that's like banging form or a team that's not in form, and it's going to be difficult. So yeah, it should be an exciting game. So cheers for coming on, mate. Villa fans, go and check out Back of the Nest. I am going to be on their channel as well, so go and check that episode out as well. So cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. Take care, people.